March 19th, 2026. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted a Russian soldier patrolling open terrain. The Russian soldier, noticing the drone, lay flat on the ground and waited. As the drone approached him, it struck him just as he was trying to stand up. The Ukrainian Signum Battalion continued to target Russian soldiers. FPV drones penetrated the defensive positions of Russian soldiers in the Lyman area and began pursuing them. The Russian soldiers were left completely helpless in the face of these sudden drone attacks. Although the soldiers had assumed the forested area would provide cover, they were still unable to escape being targeted by the drones. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted a Russian soldier and launched an attack. Rather than firing back, the soldier panicked and dropped his weapon. Left unarmed, he began to run, but with nowhere to hide in the open field, he was eventually struck. A few kilometers away, 2 more Russian soldiers were spotted. Frozen with no way to react, they too became targets. Once again, Ukrainian forces spotted a lone Russian soldier, this time unarmed. With only a tree between him and the drone, the FPV drone circled above, waiting for the right moment to strike. The soldier resorted to an unusual tactic. He grabbed a tree branch and tried to knock the drone down, but no matter how hard he tried, the drone stayed out of reach. Another lone Russian soldier was spotted by Ukrainian forces in the Pokrovsk region. When a drone launched an attack, the soldier attempted to evade it and started running. The chase lasted for several minutes, during which the drone maneuvered repeatedly to strike, but the soldier narrowly escaped each attempt. At one point, the drone came extremely close, but failed to detonate. After several failed attempts, the drone finally targeted the soldier, who was lying on the ground. A Ukrainian fiber optic drone was deployed in an ambush position along a Russian soldier's route. As the soldier moved through the area, the drone launched an attack. The Russian soldier didn't notice the drone concealed on the ground and continued walking. He was alone. The moment the drone launched toward him, he started running, but he had nowhere to hide. The Ukrainian fiber optic drone lay in wait once more. Shortly after, another Russian soldier appeared along the same route. The drone quickly launched another attack. This time, the soldier fired back, but missed. An FPV drone spotted a Russian soldier while patrolling deeper inside a city in the Donetsk region. When the soldier saw the drone, he tried to flee. As the drone closed in, he attempted to take cover in a nearby building, but it was too late. Ukrainian forces continued their relentless attacks to push Russian troops back in the Pokrovsk and Donetsk regions. Russian soldiers spread across the front line faced relentless drone attacks throughout the day. Their worn-out uniforms and inadequate equipment were plain to see. Left with no option but to hide or flee against fast-moving drones, Russian soldiers suffered heavy losses. The tactic of advancing in groups of 1 or 2 proved largely ineffective. Ukrainian forces have enough drones to track down every single soldier on the ground. A Russian soldier became the target of a drone while making his way toward a military vehicle. He tried to run, but the drone closed in before he could reach it. Even if he had made it, the vehicle would have offered little protection. A Ukrainian FPV drone locked onto 2 Russian soldiers moving through the area in a vehicle. They were hit before they even noticed the drone. Another attack in the same area. This time, the Russian soldier in the back of the military vehicle was the drone's target. A Mavic 3 drone operator spotted a concentration of Russian assault troops inside an abandoned building in the village of Torske, Donetsk Oblast. The coordinates were relayed and an airstrike was called in on the target. The drone's next target was a Russian soldier taking cover in an open, abandoned area. he tried everything to evade it, but the area offered no cover whatsoever. Unarmed and completely exposed, there was no escaping what came next. These Russian soldiers, pushing forward on an ATV, never stood a chance. The Russian soldier, caught in the trench during the first strike, had somehow survived, but the drone came back for a second pass. The Russian soldier fought desperately to keep the drone away, but it was no use. The drone finally closed in. Russian soldiers, who pushed into Ukrainian defensive positions, were met with fierce resistance. Attacking in small, disorganized groups at different times, they were intercepted by FPV and kamikaze drones. Rather than armored vehicles, they arrived in light utility vehicles, including UAZ-style trucks, leaving them completely exposed. Operating on a drone-dominated front without any countermeasures proved costly, resulting in significant losses. A Russian soldier was spotted removing a Ukrainian flag in the Donetsk region. He then unfurled a Russian flag and began waving it. Every moment was captured by drones overhead. The soldier immediately ran toward an abandoned area and took cover. Drones were dispatched to his location and launched an attack. Strike after strike rained down on his position. The drone attacks were so relentless that Russian soldiers were trapped. Unsafe outside, unsafe inside. The FPV drone was now searching along routes no longer used by Russian forces. After flying a while longer, it spotted a Russian soldier sitting on the ground. The drone made a sharp turn and closed in. The soldier, lying on the ground, became a direct target and was struck. A desperate struggle played out between a Russian soldier and a drone in a wooded area north of the front line. The soldier was spotted moving alone, likely heading back to his foxhole. He began a desperate effort to evade the drone, trying every move he could among the trees. But the FPV drone refused to let him go, continuously searching for the right position to attack. Finally, exhausted, the soldier took cover behind a tree, and that's when the drone moved in. Attacks on Russian military logistics vehicles continued. Vehicles transporting supplies to the front were stopped before reaching their positions. Reaching the most intense sectors of the front has become nearly impossible. Drones have been relentlessly patrolling supply routes, and the destruction hasn't been limited to logistics vehicles. Frontline vehicles used by Russian soldiers have been neutralized as well. The attacks didn't stop when darkness fell. Ukrainian FPV drones equipped with night vision carried out strikes on vehicles throughout the night. A drone moving at full speed struck a Russian soldier taking cover among the trees. Another soldier, sheltering in a trench nearby, did not make it out either. This Russian soldier, despite being very well camouflaged, was still spotted. This Russian soldier thought he was hidden, but the drone had already spotted him. A Russian soldier who exited the bunker attempted to flee but stepped on a landmine. A drone was then deployed, striking the bunker directly and triggering a massive explosion, neutralizing the soldiers inside. Ukrainian forces carried out an effective attack on Russian trenches. After locating them with reconnaissance drones, attack drones loaded with explosives were immediately dispatched. The strikes caused powerful explosions. Trapped in the trenches with no protection against drone attacks, the Russian soldiers were easy targets. But the trenches weren't the only targets. Other positions where Russian soldiers had taken cover were similarly identified and attacked. Strike after strike, Ukrainian drones methodically worked through each position. Some soldiers attempted to flee, only to be tracked down in the open. Others stayed hidden, but the reconnaissance drones above left nowhere unseen. The combination of surveillance and attack drones proved devastating. By the time Russian soldiers realized they had been spotted, it was already too late. No trench is safe anymore. The war between Ukraine and Russia has moved beyond the trenches. Two Russian landing craft were struck while underway in Crimea. Russian forces' room to maneuver on the front lines is shrinking. These attacks make one thing clear: Ukrainian forces maintain a firm presence across the entire front. The Ukrainian 8th Army Corps delivered a series of devastating blows in the Kursk direction. In a coordinated operation, multiple Russian soldiers were taken out across several positions. The strikes didn't stop there. Numerous vehicles were destroyed before they could reposition, and several fortified Russian positions were dismantled one by one. The Ukrainian 15th Brigade, known as Black Forest, destroyed a Russian OSA air defense system, taking out a critical short-range air defense asset. 7 Ukrainian FP2 drones struck a key facility belonging to the Granite Company in Sevastopol, Crimea. Granite is a subsidiary of the Almaz-Antey Defense Group, one of Russia's most critical defense manufacturers, and is directly responsible for the repair and maintenance of Russian air defense systems. The strike targeted the company's innovation center, dealing a significant blow to Russia's ability to keep its air defense network operational. Ukrainian forces launched a large-scale operation in the Donetsk region. After weeks of careful reconnaissance and surveillance, the groundwork was laid for a coordinated and devastating assault. The first wave came from FPV drones, systematically picking apart Russian military positions one by one. Russian troops had done everything they could to prepare. They converted abandoned buildings into shelters, dug trenches, and fortified their defensive positions. But their preparations were no match for what was coming. The scale of the assault left Russian forces with no time to regroup or reinforce. Position after position was wiped out as Ukrainian forces demonstrated just how effectively a drone-dominated battlefield could dismantle even a well-prepared defense.